Welcome back to another episode of The Drive. I am your co-host, Andy Lack. I am joined, as always, by Geoff Fienberg. We are presented by Oddschecker once again on this fine Masters Monday hangover edition. Geoff Fienberg, a thrilling week in Augusta, I would say. I was on grounds for it with my pops, and it will certainly be a week to remember for me, probably a few days that I'll remember for the rest of my life. The one aspect of the tournament that I might forget is the back nine when Scottie slammed the door on all of the hopefuls, the contenders that somewhat turned into pretenders after in the last hour. I don't know if I would even say they turned into pretenders or if Scottie just turned into the greatest golfer that we've seen since Tiger Woods. But we march along, my friend, for the RBC Heritage. Any lingering thoughts you want to share on Augusta, or should we move right along into what I cannot believe is another signature event? I thought we'd get a little bit of an exhale, but there's a fascinating board with some great players to break down this week in Hilton Head.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the signature event after the Masters. Obviously, in this, new golf world, the players, they'll stack their big events together and then they like to have some time off. But, on that note, Andy, by the time anyone's listening to this, they've already debriefed the Masters enough. So I got to put you on the spot and get your thoughts on the Rory rumors.
I've heard it from a couple people as well, and I would say this is pretty similar to the ROM stuff, right? Where there's smoke, there's fire. You don't think so?
Sorry, where there's smoke, there's fire, but I don't know, man. This is just so. I don't think it's going to go over well.
Yeah,
I don't think this is going to end well for anybody. Obviously,
right.
The guy's getting 700 million. It's going to end well for, but they're just, I think, gas cannon something we really like, and it'll be interesting to see what comes out on the other side. I'm a pessimist. I don't think it's going to be very good. Obviously,
you don't think it's going to be very good in the sense that you don't think it's going to happen? Or
no, I don't think ever. I think like golf is just getting worse. Professional golf is just getting more pathetic. I think less people are going to care. The rose is totally off the bloom. Outside of 4 major championships, and I think the Olympics will be super exciting. I don't know what the sport has to offer. I truly mean it. There's lots of people that play the sport, that we love the sport. It'll be, you can still love golf, love to play golf, and quickly, turn these guys away. I promise. We'll see. There's always a betting board though, so that always does present opportunity there. I guess the only thing I do like about it is like Jay Monahan looking like I don't even want to say the words on a channel that isn't mine.
I mean, Jay Monahan's still cashing the same paychecks at the end of all of this. Like that's the thing, is the guy just has this odd tendency to fail upwards.
Fail
upwards. And
like Homer Simpson digged up, it never worked for him. It seems to work for Jay though. So keep digging, digging, pal. Will Scottie be here? Will Scottie be here this week though, Andy? When push comes to shove, I would have thought we would have gotten the withdrawal by now. We're recording pretty late on Monday night. I don't think it would have been a tough decision if he wanted to withdraw. I thought we would have had it by now. I almost thought the books posted a board that expected the withdrawal, to be perfectly honest, based on how tight it was squeezed, even with him there.
Yeah. From my understanding of last year, you're allowed to skip one signature event free of charge. Scottie hasn't skipped one this year. I know on your second skip of a signature event, you do get a fine. Not that money is of any issue to Scottie Scheffler these days. I think his caddy is out earning 95% of the guys on the PGA Tour, but it surprised me a little bit as well. I mean, I think a lot of people made way bigger of a deal than what was never going to happen with she's like still 3 weeks away. Your first usually comes late. I don't think it was ever a possibility that she would have gone into labor last week. With that being said, we are 1 week closer to her expected due date, which is at the end of April. And you would think, based on the quotes that he gave, I'm just so excited to go home and see my wife, that you would think that this you would think this would be his PGA Tour hall pass of like, hey, it makes a lot of sense for me not to do it. But these guys are so regimented with their schedules these days, Geoff, and the PGA Championship is 4 weeks away. And when a guy plans out his schedule, these guys all have people working for them, optimizing their schedule, and they're so particular about it. And I think Scottie is in the mindset of, I'm going to stack these things. And I'm going to do everything in my power to stack these things. And if you're telling me, Meredith, that our baby's due on April 28th and I can play the 15th to the 19th, I'm going to do that. So he's playing this week, from my understanding. I don't think he's going to win. But he can win, of course. Hot take, Scottie Scheffler can win, but he doesn't terrify me this week at the top of the odds board as he would at most golf courses. Does he for you?
No, I mean, yeah, you could make the case that just based on the fact that with all that goes into winning the Masters, with all that's sort of going on personally, with how, this almost seems like a spot to get him. But the books, they weren't that generous, with any true opportunities. So, Scottie, if you want to bet that, if you bet him at Augusta, you want to roll it into again, do it. We're seeing Nelly Korda win 4 in a row. He should have beat Jaeger a couple weeks ago. I mean, he's so good. Maybe he does. I'll let you, Andy, though, tell me what I want to do with the next two, because I'm real tempted to maybe play one of Xander Schauffele, as crazy as that sounds. I know you could put a big L. I don't know, or Ludvig. I think they're two very safe bets, especially if you think you could take Scottie out of it. I know Cantlay has gotten popular this week, but for the guys that are under 20-1, not including Scottie, I was in Vegas on the weekend, boys. Full disclosure, I didn't win my golf bets, but because I didn't have Scottie, but it was a very successful weekend. And I speaking of the hangover, I got my own Masters hangover. I could just fire on one of these guys, Andy, and be pretty content with it, and then fire on everyone's favorite guy a little bit down the board.
Yeah. When I woke up this morning, I started to talk myself into a Cantlay Morikawa Fleetwood card. I'm staying at a buddy's house this week in Hilton Head. So, I'll be at this tournament again. I'll be going to the practice rounds tomorrow. So maybe my opinions and thoughts change once I see some of these guys in person. I can tell you one thing. I watched 9 holes. I came on this show that we did on Monday night, and I talked about how the pendulum has swung too far on Victor. Then I walked 9 holes with Victor Hovland at Augusta, and I walked 9 holes with Ludvig Aberg at Augusta, and one person was ready to win that golf tournament, and the other person was not. So pending that I see something crazy in the practice rounds, I've left some room on my card, but the Cantlay number got hit, the Fleetwood number got hit, the Morikawa number got hit. You got to remember, with Morikawa and Fleetwood, those guys are you're buying them at their absolute high, right? I mean, Morikawa in particular is not playing great at all coming into the Masters. He has this great performance at the Masters. And now he is down to 20-1, after being 55-1. I do think this is a great golf course for Morikawa, but I found myself priced out of this Cantlay Fleetwood Morikawa.
Yeah, I don't care for any of those. I'd rather pay up. I'd rather go to the nicer restaurant. Like what Ludvig, the guy's just going to chart. He's going to bring his confidence from last week into next week. I don't think he's tired. I truly don't. Like, no, I think he gained more belief. He gained more belief in himself. Everyone told him majors would be different, which they obviously are. And even though they're different, he still met the challenge. We've seen him be fantastic on short courses. His putting was outstanding.
Yeah, last week. They told me Augusta greens were hard. Okay, I'll just gain 8 strokes putting and lead the field in putting.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like a second place where the guy's like mentally drained. It's a second place where he's just so happy in the skin that he's in, waking up today, going to another big event, getting to see Hilton Head. So I'm excited about that. And it's a bit of a broken record.
Well, no, because
Xander's playing way too well. He's just playing way too well. Yeah. Trusting him to win is hard. It's scary to think maybe you would trust Ludvig to win more. I was sitting there at the Circa Swim on Saturday, Andy, thinking it'd be bad for content, so I'm not going to do it. But single bullet, Aberg outrights with a little each ways, I'm telling you, give me a calendar year, I think you'd come out ahead. I believe it. But hey, yeah, you're buying a bit of the mountaintop now. So let's go.
Can I
Yeah,
make one comment on Xander, because I'm pretty close to making that bet. There's 14 to 1 on, you can find as high as 14 to 1.
on
Uh,
Xander.
yep. I agree with maybe 12 to 1 on the odds checker grid.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
You listen. So, I'll be honest. Sometimes I use the odds checker grid, and it just helps me quantify a book I
right,
have who's not posted on the grid to know if my
right,
number's still good. So
right.
that grid is useful regardless whether you're shopping there or not. Xander is 11 on that grid. Ludvig coming in at 14.
Well, Jeff, doesn't it? Do you know what it reminds me a lot of? I don't know if you remember this. The 2022 U.S. Open at Brookline was another major that we were penciling Xander in to win. I bet him that
And
week.
then
I
what do you do?
remember,
He won the
I know,
Travelers or something the next week, you're going to tell me?
on a short Pete Dye course the week after everybody said this guy's a gutless loser who's just going to finish top 10 and not
Yeah,
contend.
I don't know. You bet him. Yeah. So I really do like Xander. Haven't seen other people pick
Yeah.
him. Maybe I will.
I
Um,
might be one of those guys
we're
because I
gonna
was going to
go.
go Fleetwood, Cantlay, Morikawa, and I don't like them at their current
I'm
numbers.
being
I
honest.
prefer Xander.
I am big game hunting this week. It is an
Yeah.
elevated event. I'm just big game hunting. And I'm feeling good. Last 5 tournaments, Andy's silver was Xander at the Players, silver with Cam Young at the Valspar, 2 golds out in Texas for me, and then a silver with Luddy last week. So I'll throw wherever I want it. I'll throw it wherever I want it, and I'll be swimming in the deep end Sunday. That's where my head is at. But we go to that next tier, and I'll tell you, it's 2 guys who I'm debating. It's Cam Young, Will Zalatoris. Crazy, right? This guy's talking about Xander, Cam Young. It's a bit of a broken record. I'm in my zone. I'm rolling over a lot of my Masters plays, I feel, truth be told. Will Willie win a putting contest? He could. I don't know. Cam Young's been third here before. He's got short course prowess as well. Like his game. Oh, I mean, you look at his results, they do play everywhere, but short courses where you think maybe it's not like doesn't build into his strength. He still has had some incredible finishes along the way, specifically this season. So Cam Young is someone who I probably look to bet in around that 30 to 1 on the odds checker grid, taking a pass on Willie, but that'll be tough.
Yeah, I bet Cam Young at 33 to 1. You got to know your audience, man. This is a safe space to talk Xander and Cam Young. I'm your guy for those dudes. I think Cam Young is so freaking close, man. I was high on him at the Masters last week, and
I'll tell you this: Cam Young
I
almost
mean,
feels like Xander, just 3 times the price.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
if you
with
don't
you
want to bet,
completely.
like you know, I might
I
be.
just I have had, you can call these guys are quote unquote losers until they're not. And I remember this dialogue with Xander. This was the dialogue with Scottie Scheffler. I
Yep.
think people forget. Like, Scottie came so close to winning so many times. I remember the first time he won was in Phoenix. We were there for it that week, and it was a long time coming, man. This guy had a very, very similar resume to Cam Young before it all came together and he started rolling and became a real wagon. I'm not saying Cam Young is that guy. I don't think no one's that guy, but if you keep putting yourself in the mix time and time again, Cam Young is too elite of a player to not see the ball go through the hoop for him soon. He's been great at this golf course. He's just hitting the ball too damn well. 33 to 1 is a good number. It's the first bet I made on Monday morning.
And even going farther down this board, Andy, I mean, you're speaking about that guy. Well, I like to point out to you the guy that I think the books are telling you not to bet. Like, we don't want you betting him, and it's got to be Siwoo Kim. Sitting at 33 to 1 at an elevated event. I know there's the Wyndham course comps. I know this is the Siwoo comfort zone. In the end, it's still a putting contest. Shane Lowry, probably also popular. It takes. I don't know. I mean, listen, it takes guts to bet a guy like Cam Young, but I think it takes a lot of guts to put your money on Siwoo at that number, and even Shane Lowry. But I feel like a lot of members of Team No Putt are going to rise this week, and the board doesn't really get much more appealing for me too much farther. Maybe Corey Connors, Tom Kim off a hot Sunday, but again, I am big game hunting here. We could talk about long shots in a minute, but I don't think I'm going to be playing in those waters at all this week.
I gave Siwoo a real serious look. Excuse me. There was a 45 on him that I missed out on. He's down to 28 to 1 in
Crazy.
some spots, which is wild to me. I
Wow.
understand that he's on the Mount Rushmore of short positional golf courses. He's won at Wiley, he's won at Sedgefield, he's won at TPC Sawgrass, and he's won at the American Express, another Pete Dye design.
Did I say Wyndham? Oopsies, that's my bad.
Yeah, Sedgefield, Wyndham, same deal.
Okay, yeah, but yeah.
And I wonder if I've been priced out of Siwoo. And I put all of these guys, Russell Henley, Corey Connors, Siwoo Kim, they're all in the same bucket in the sense that they raise their baseline on these types of golf courses because their skill set fits these types of golf courses, right? And so I have a hard time justifying Siwoo Kim 35 over Corey Connors 55. And I think that's probably where I would be looking, particularly if I go Xander. I think I'd be looking at like a Xander, Cam Young, one of Corey Connors or Russell Henley, or I suppose Siwoo if I really tuck myself in to bet the player, not the number.
Yeah, that really is a player, not the number. But hey, that's a guy the books they're begging you not to bet.
Yeah.
They are truly begging you not to bet him. So maybe, I don't know, we outthink ourselves on that. Raising up the board in a day where this wasn't an elevated event, Andy, my whole card would have been like your Brian Harmons, your Denny McCarthy's, like, because we've seen the Kuchers and the Fureks and the Wesley Bryans, like the guys that win here. There is a profile to bet, but with the elevated event, I don't care about that profile. Like in terms of picking the winner for like DraftKings or placings, I would chase that profile. But for picking the winner with an elevated field, I'm not chasing that profile. Not one bit. That being said, I don't hate Denny McCarthy at 60, but I don't think I'll have any units left to give based on the conversation we've already had.
I'm with you. I don't think that we are going to see. I mean, at the end of the day, Geoff, still with these elevated events, it's Hideki, it's Wyndham, it's Scottie Scheffler twice.
Well, we got fooled last year because last year was like Kitayama, Glover, Keegan, maybe. Like last year got weird. Last year got weird.
Totally. And I do think that a Chris Kirk type can win this event. Like two guys that we haven't mentioned that are in this range, Brian Harman and JT Poston. Yep. Okay, Brian Harman's back now to 50 to 1 on a Brian Harman golf course. You thought that Augusta was going to be a good spot for Brian Harman. Come on, don't put too much stock into 2 bad rounds at a windy Augusta. This golf course is way more Brian Harman speed. Great buy low spot on him. So, I mean, the guys that I would mention down here that I think are bettable, you mentioned Chris Kirk. I'll throw in JT Poston, who's been unbelievable at Harbor Town. Brian Harman, great buy low spot on Brian Harman at 50 to 1. And then, way down the board, this is such an Adam Svensson golf course, Geoff. I'm always a sucker for my guy, Adam Svensson.
I think, looking down the board as well, I'll probably want to invest in some Taylor Moore, like something, probably not the win, but a nice little 20th place for him. I think he can strike it lovely on these small greens. Maybe it's Kurt Kitayama could be in play here. But again, I'm out of units. Like I got no more shopping left to do here by the time that I'm done. Is there anything? I guess you mentioned Svensson
would be the only guy.
Find me a winner over 100. I'm seeing it as high as 200 to 1 on the odds checker grid, as low as 100 in some places. That's why we use the grid. Get yourself that best number in-house. Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to play something big at the top. I mean it. I think guys that are playing well are going to roll over their nice little play, and then they're going to take a few weeks break until we see them again right before the PGA Championship. So I'm expecting these guys at the top of the board to play quite well. I will say, because of the course, if you do have one of these longer shots in the pack, like they have a better chance to hold on versus a high-end player, like down the stretch, as opposed to like maybe some more demanding courses. You can get nipped, but if it happens, I'll just accept it. Cam Young for me, and probably, Ludvig or Scottie Scheffler. I mean it. That's what I'm about this week, Andy. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm pretty heavily focused on Cam Young, and and Xander, and then one of Connors, Henley, Siwoo,
Yeah, I like that
probably.
group.
But I love your. I mean, I give Xander the slight edge to Ludvig, just because this feels like a Xander spot, and he's played so well here at the past. He gained 12 strokes ball striking in his last appearance at Harbor Town, but uh, watching Ludvig in person last week, Geoff, I know you've seen him before at the Canadian Open.
Yeah.
I am such a believer, and I am telling you right now, any anti-Ludvig take is going to age so poorly
Okay.
for you. Just get on the bandwagon now. I don't know what more you need to see. Just get on the bandwagon right now. I told you the last thing I'll say, Geoff, is I'm a diehard Rory fan, and I haven't had a lot of sports success in my life. The last great sports moment was the Giants winning the Super Bowl in 2012. I'm a tortured New York Knicks fan and Rory fan. I just think I decided, like, what's the smartest thing for me to do is just go all in on Ludvig. And I think I'll be kind of a happy fan over the next 10 years.
Yeah, I will say though, Andy, I'm gonna just put it out there. Happy you're on board. Happy you're on board because when it first started, just like maybe these numbers,
Yeah,
maybe
100%.
at least 40 to 1. Like, what is this guy? Like,
100%.
not what is he, but it's like, I'll just bet guys that have won before. But hey, you see it in real life, you hear that sound, and you're around the best sounds in
Different
the game.
sound.
It's a different one that he's making. It's so much fun watching him golf. There's no more secrets anymore. People who didn't know who he was a week ago, he's a star. Hopefully the PGA will know what to do with him. For Andy, it's another week at a PGA golf tournament. There's no point in like living vicariously through Andy. I'll just be jealous of him. Like that's like there's no can't live vicariously through that. I'm just jealous. He's at the Masters, going to Hilton Head this week. I'm sure he's got his sticks and playing some lovely stuff in between. We'll be back, even though we're at the Zurich and then maybe the Byron Nelson. Bit of dip in this sort of field, but hey, that's when Andy does his best work. And we ran gold through Texas. So these elevated, these big fields, maybe they haven't been our friend. Hopefully they are this week, but either way, we'll be right back here next week on Odds Checker. For Andy, I am Geoff Fienberg. Thanks again. See you next time, friends.